All right, so we're here at one of our flips. I bought this flip about, I think 8 months ago now, and we've been working on this project off and on. So I want to really do a walkthrough here today to talk about lessons that I learned, kind of break the entire deal down, what we spent, what we bought it for, provide some receipts too along the way, and just use this as a learning opportunity for anybody that's interested in getting into fix and flipping, or just wants to see, what flippers actually do and what we go through to make the money that we do, because I can tell you it's not easy at all. So let's get into it. All right, so we're inside the house right now. Just break down some of the numbers. As we can see, we spent over $115,000 on this renovation. Everything from foundation, egress windows, roof, electrical, all in all. And throughout the project, there were ways and things that I could have done to minimize my budget, which I want to work through. But I think one of the biggest pain points I had on this project was contractor management. I went through, I think, 3 GCs and a bunch of subs to get this to where it is today. But like I said, spent over 100 grand on this renovation. And hopefully you can see that, brand new kitchen, cabinets. These were custom cabinets, quartz countertop, backsplash, newer appliances in this house. So in the property specifically, this is in a really nice neighborhood, suburb of Wichita in Andover. So in Andover, average price point is going to be about 300 to 400,000. So this home actually sold for roughly, I think, 335,000. Had 6,000 in seller concessions that I had to give in prepaids to help the buyer close on this home. All in all, we made a decent profit. I don't have that number with me here today, but as you can see here, kitchen, everything in this house was completely redone from scratch. So kind of walking in, this is one of the separate, this is not the master, this is the secondary room upstairs. So house has 4 bed, 2 bath. When we bought the property, it was a 2 bed, 2 bath. So we added 2 additional bedrooms downstairs, which we'll kind of go over. Here's a smaller master bathroom. Nothing crazy here, but tile shower, new fixtures, stuff of that nature. And then we'll go downstairs. But one of the, I think the most challenging things about this flip was when we bought this from the owner. If you look at the ceilings, all these ceilings had been redone by the homeowner that I bought it from. He was a master carpenter actually. So he literally replaced all of the drywall in the ceiling with 2x4s. So as you can see, like the whole ceiling was 2x4s. And I partnered up with a real estate agent / designer on this one. And one of the biggest recommendations that she made was to paint the ceiling, which really killed me, honestly, because it was really nice looking wood. I was like, why are we gonna do that? But one of the things that you do is you try to appeal to the masses, right? And we're trying to sell these properties to people that, let's say, not cookie cutter, but we want to customize the home to the general public, as opposed to, doing something a little more custom like that. It had a log cabin feel, and I don't know too many people that are interested in buying a log cabin, but we're in one of the rooms in our basement here. And this was one of the egress windows that we cut out. With this particular room, actually struggled. So we had a contractor come out and install this egress window. And it ran us, we actually got a pretty good deal on the egress window and the work. I think it was around $3,500 to do this egress window. It was with a newer company that did that. So they came in, cut it out, installed the actual window well. There's a sump pump in there too, which is really important. If you're gonna install an egress window in a property, you want to have a sump pump to prevent that water from getting in the basement. But one of the biggest mistakes I made there was going with someone a little newer and inexperienced. If I could go back, I would work with more of a reputable company as opposed to somebody newer just getting started to save some money. Here we're in the basement. So this room caused me probably the most trouble throughout this flip. Initially, and we'll cut back to a scene where we're outside, show you all the concrete work that we did. Initially, we struggled with this room because right along that corner right there at that joint where the stem wall meets the actual concrete floor, water kept seeping in. Every time it rained, this entire room would be flooded, and we thought we had the issue addressed. So again, we put brand new concrete throughout the exterior, along the perimeter as well, to keep the water away from the house. But that didn't work. So we had to do some additional things to stop the water from getting in, and ultimately went through inspection. House was sold. I had to provide the buyer with a credit to a foundation company that's going to end up waterproofing the walls here. So all in all, don't take the advice of concrete fixes all. Yeah, that's a great idea, and putting a perimeter wall against the foundation to keep the water and the grade negative is obviously good feedback, but that's not going to solve all the problems. So yeah, let's get into the next room. Right here, we installed a second bathroom downstairs. So right now, This is a shared bathroom between the 2 rooms that are downstairs. We'll get into the other room in just a second. Had some issues with this one. This is kind of a miniature bathroom. It really didn't have a lot of space to work through. So you can see ceilings are pretty short. If I get in the shower, I'm 5'8". You know, this shower isn't gonna hit me, and this is something that we realized after the fact. So I think, and the reason is because this is a vent. So we couldn't do anything about that. So hopefully the people that are in the basement are kids, because this is not made for grown adults, as you can see. But design flaw, I don't know what we could have did different here. This is the only location that we could have installed a bathroom in. So we're gonna walk into the 4th bedroom in this house, and this is where we put the additional egress window. This room's a little wonky, because if you see in this closet, I gotta duck down to get to it. This is another sump pump. So you've got a sump pump in a bedroom, and then you've got this egress window with that escape ladder. That was one thing that I actually got called out during the inspection. So when I installed the egress windows, I did not install a ladder. And that's required, and for the state of Kansas, at least for the codes here in my city, you have to have a ladder. Homeowner has to have the ability to escape from the house somehow. So that was super important, another lesson I learned. And then to top it off, I know we didn't cover it because you can't see with the carpet. We had to redo the sewer line in this house. Sewer line, we spent about 8 grand on, and when we go outside, I can kind of show you where we did that and some of the other work that we did on the foundation. So heavy rehab. At the beginning of the video, I mentioned challenge that we had, and one of the challenges, aside from getting this door open, cut it. All right, so we're outside. Again, want to show you some of the work we did out here. Yeah, as you can see, brand new concrete throughout the exterior. So this was necessary, again, to keep the grade away from the house. This house had foundation problems when we bought it, and this is one of the things that we had to do to remedy that. And right along through here, this is where the sewer line came out. So this concrete was probably at about a 45-degree angle, like towards the property. So we had to chop up all the concrete anyway, so might as well redo it. But that sewer line ran straight through here to this backyard, and that was replaced. If I could go back though, I would have gotten another quote on that sewer line. I feel like I overpaid a little bit, could have kept things under budget there. But one of the biggest constraints I had on this project was, again, we talked about contractor management. Having good contractors and subs is super important. I think I have to work on getting better relationships with them to be able to run my projects in an efficient manner. This house took me way too long to renovate. So from the time I purchased it in November, today is July 31st. We're closed today. That's way too long. Hard money definitely eats any profit alive. And if you want to stay in the flipping business, you got to A, get your cost of capital down, B, get good contractors, and most importantly, make money. We did make some money on this, but it wasn't to be expected. But that's flipping. You know, it's not always going to be home runs. We're not always going to make 30, 40, 50,000. You can budget for that all day long, but you have to run numbers conservatively. And it's a good thing that we did. When we originally bought the house, I underwrote this at 280,000 ARV. Because we sold it at 330, I had a cushion there to be able to carry some of the carrying costs through, pay for, you know, the fact that we went over budget. Our initial budget was 60,000. We went over budget by 100,000. So obviously, you know, that ate into the profit. That's why you buy deep enough. You know, a lot of sellers don't understand that if you don't make conservative offers, and you're not a responsible investor, you're not gonna make money in the business for too long. And that dynamic is really hard to overcome. This house in particular, I ran the direct to seller appointment. So I met with the homeowner, negotiated with them. We paid $140 for the house. After it was all said and done, I mean, you can kind of do the math there. 140, put in over 100 grand. That puts us at about 250. Carrying costs were at roughly 20,000 from the time we bought it to closing date. So you kind of do the math there, you know what we made. For all the work that I put into this, it definitely wasn't, I don't think worth it. If I could go back, I think I learned more from the experience more than anything. So just to recap, biggest lessons that I learned on this project, gotta work on project management, right? If you're not on a job site every day checking on your work project, shit's not gonna get done. B, I personally have to work on better capital relationships. So borrowing at a really reasonable interest rate is one of the most critical key points as a real estate investor. If you're paying 18%, 24%, and you're buying properties that way, you better be on point with everything else, right? So, and that's one thing that we're working on right now. I've actually got some lender connections that are gonna help us reduce our cost of capital down to about 10%. And then I think point number 3 is always be conservative. And I knew that coming into this purchase, but when you underwrite and your ARV is lower than market, you know, your projection is going to be lower than what you think you'll get when you make that offer, and you set a reasonable budget, you should always be able to make money on a deal no matter what. So as they say, you make your money when you buy, not when you sell. That point really was true. So, but just to end it off, like if you're interested in learning more about like what I do, fix and flipping, you know, my primary business model, I wholesale, I novate, I buy rentals, and I am a fix and flipper, but not a full-time flipper. If you're interested in learning more, shoot me a DM. I love teaching people. I love working with people, collaborating. So I'll drop that in the comment section below. If you're watching this, like this video, comment, subscribe. Want to make sure I get you guys really good content that's valuable, that not only helps you with your real estate journey, but is entertaining too. So I appreciate you watching.